The Philadelphia Eagles needed elite Jalen Hurts from 2022 and early 2023 to finally show back up in a massive spot, and he did all of that and more. The postgame show coming your way right here on Locked On Eagles.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. I'm Louie DiBiase, joined as always by Gino Camilleri. It's the postgame show. The Eagles are now 5-2. They have won 3 straight games, 37-17 the final score in Cincinnati. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code in all capital letters, Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. I'm all the way back, Gino. The Browns game didn't sell me enough.
You're a roller coaster, my friend. You are.
I'm provided more evidence. I'm going to change my mind based on the new evidence that has been found. The Giants game didn't convince me enough. This win against a red-hot elite quarterback in Joe Burrow that has also won 3 of their last 4 games, to win in this dominating fashion where you got 2022 Jalen Hurts back, who had almost a perfect performance, I'm sold now. At 5-2, like, it's crazy what one win can do for a football team. But this one, I think, put them back on the map as a legitimate contender, and I don't think I'm being a prisoner of the moment saying that. I know the Bengals are 3-5, but you know, the way they won this game on both sides of the ball, and especially because of Jalen Hurts' performance, like, I'm back in on this football team. This was a convincing 2022-like win.
I did a segment this week about how forgettable this Bengals-Eagles series has been
especially for
the
Eagles
past
fans.
25 years. It's been horrible. But today, the Eagles, for the first time ever, got a win in Cincinnati in a dominating fashion. And that's why, if you have followed this team contextually, this is a huge win. Because when is the last time there has been a quarterback battle where you're saying, I want to see it between these two? It was rookie Carson Wentz, or no, it wasn't rookie Carson Wentz. What am I talking about? It was 4th-year Carson Wentz at the end of 2020 against Joe Burrow, the last time that this happened. Joe Burrow was ascending, and now Jalen Hurts, he sent that team back down to earth today, man. That was a full 2022 performance.
Yeah.
And as host of Locked On Bengals, James Rapien said a couple weeks ago about Jaden Daniels that he's not that good. Well, the Bengals are not that good, and I think the Eagles showed that today. And Lou, I want to take a step back for a second because we had a discussion last week, you and I, right? And I think I was more on the side of this version of Jalen Hurts can win if he takes care of the football.
That wasn't this Jalen Hurts.
But if he takes
so
care
don't
of
say
the football,
suddenly I was wrong based on today.
I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. I'm just trying to say, and to all of these people in our YouTube comments saying, oh, Jalen Hurts, he can't read a defense. He can't hit the middle of the field. You people, Lou, I'm going to give you the exception, but the rest of them, it was completely overreacting that we've seen this player and we knew he could get there if everything came to be.
But you have to admit, it's been a while. Like this,
I know. Let me finish.
That's why this
was
so convincing. Go ahead.
Yes, it was. But this offense, all in all, it was exactly what you needed to do. You did not play outside of the strengths of not just Jalen Hurts, but the offensive line that was down 2 starters once again. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith involved in a way that we knew was bound to happen. It was the longest air yard touchdown ever for Jalen Hurts today, 59.3 yards in the air to Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown goes for nearly 100 yards. Saquon Barkley once again dominates on the ground. Kellen Moore played a fantastic game, and we were down on Nick Sirianni, and I think a lot of people were. He's finally doing things that are good for this football team. There were some moments today where you're saying they got out coached, especially in that first drive where Cincinnati just continued to just push the pace. Joe Burrow was perfect, and you're saying, man, this looks like a team that's going to come in and dominate. Yeah. And then Vic Fangio settled in. The offense, multiple drives where it's 6+ plays for 4+ minutes, that middle 8 segment where you get the ball after stopping Joe Burrow and that offense. You score a touchdown that drives it down to 22 seconds in the first half. You get the ball back again after halftime. What do? You possess it for more than 4 minutes once again, and you score yet again. That's how you win football games in the detailed areas. That's exactly what happened.
And last week, because they ran the ball so well and Jalen Hurts still, and that's the thing is like, yes, Jalen Hurts has done this before, but it's been so long that's why this win feels so good, because we started to question, does Hurts still have that complete dominant performance still in him? We haven't seen that since last year against the Buffalo Bills, that battle with Josh Allen. We haven't seen this kind of we haven't seen this kind of complete win for 4 quarters against a really good team in 2 years. And so that's why it felt so good. And also, Gino, because the identity wasn't, oh, we feel like they have to run the ball to win games. And if they run the ball, that's a really good football team. No, they did run the ball well. But it was like 2022. It's at the end of the games to keep a lead. They passed the ball to get the lead. Mm-hmm. Whereas last week we were saying maybe this team has to run to do both. Maybe they have to be the 2021 Eagles. But today showed me, no, they don't have to do that. Their identity can be what's sustainable long term. And again, it's pass the ball to get the lead and run to keep it. And that's exactly what Hurts, Saquon, Kellen Moore, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown all did today. I mean, Jalen was almost perfect. I mean, no turnovers yet again, 4 touchdowns. He finished 16 of 20 for 236 yards, 37 yards on the ground and 3 scores. One of them, by the way, was not a tush push. Everybody says he doesn't score real rushing touchdowns. Where you saw that today, he looked explosive on scramble plays. And not just that, but the QB draws, I think, Gino, were perfectly played up by Kellen Moore. That is a ceiling that I was doubting this Eagles team still had. And now that I've seen it once, that's all I needed to be back in, especially against a team that, again, has won 3 of 4, and the defense stepped up in the second half. But, Gino, Joe Burrow had a really good day. And the fact that they won by 20 when it was looking like Burrow was going to blow this team out of the water is such a good feeling.
To win this game by 20 points when the opposing team goes over 75% on third downs to finish the day. That
including
is
a third and 22, man. I mean,
that was an egregious
Burrow was incredible.
First down. And Burrow looked really good. I thought Mike Gesicki stepped up for having T. Higgins out of the game. But one thing we knew, Lou, coming into this game, though it was against the Giants, though it was against the Browns, that defense has now only allowed 2 offensive touchdowns in the last 3 games. This team is winning because of the defense. And talk about putting your offense in a position to succeed when they are efficient, Lou. Isaiah Rodgers comes into the game after Slay goes out injured, has a perfect U.S. volleyball tryout play where he's running the route with Jamar Chase, tips it right back into the grasp of CGJ, and not just letting off the pedal when they already had the game won, Lou. Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond combined for a forced fumble on Mike Gesicki, who was dominating this team all day. Outside of the first quarter, Lou, I thought the Eagles played better for 75% of that game. It was the first time they played a complete game where the offense in all phases, passing, running the ball, was very good.
Got to play under center, man. I think that's a difference too. Kellen Moore had this team playing under center, and that was such a massive difference.
Get Saquon Barkley running downhill, push the routes vertical. Today, seeing Devontae Smith get vertical down the field, and the very first play, getting A.J. Brown open on a beautiful mirrored concept where Devontae clears out the deep safety. A.J. Brown comes open in this window, and you're saying from the get, okay, if Jalen Hurts plays like this, they're going to be able to stay in this game. And then it was to go throw for throw with Joe Burrow. They did everything they needed to. They didn't turn the ball over. They created turnovers. They were effective in all 3 phases.
And explosive plays continue, and they lead the league in that area. When you can rely on 30-plus yard plays happening every single week, and you're not making mistakes, like that's a Super Bowl ceiling, Gino. And I think the difference was really that 3rd and 16 where Jalen Hurts found A.J. Brown, because those penalties in Bengals territory kept putting them in tough spots, and the game could have really got out of control if that play wasn't made. Jalen makes that play, that big QB draw after as well, and then they took off. So, yeah, I was just so impressed, and we'll get into the defense even more in segment 2, but like to see that offense put together from Kellen Moore to Jalen to the offensive line and all the weapons getting involved, that's the ceiling that we knew they had the talent to show that they had, but we haven't seen it this year on the football field. And you mentioned Devontae. Gino, Devontae Smith getting involved in the second half was one of the big differences. Even that 3rd and 7 where Jalen gets it to Smith over the middle to convert, that basically iced the game. Like, that's why you get number 6 involved, and he was not getting the ball enough the last few weeks.
And I think we could put the middle of the field discussions to bed. It was just Kellen Moore figuring out, we can play with leverage outside really well. What if we do that inside of the numbers? And we know Jalen, when he's confident, he can do that.
And we do it more than once, right? If we don't just do it once and then never do it again.
Exactly. No, they put Jalen Hurts in a really good position by getting it to the pass catchers, and not just like in a pitch and catch manner, Lou. Look at the average per catch of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown throughout this season. A.J. Brown's numbers are insane. Devontae Smith's today were insane. When they play with confidence, that's the best duo in football, Lou. You said it a couple years ago when people said you were crazy. It's not even close, and we saw that today.
Underrated storyline before we take a break, too, for the offense. Grant Calcaterra quietly has become a really reliable tight end, too.
Corner 3 Calcaterra, baby.
He had 3 explosive plays today for 58 yards, was averaging 19.3 yards a catch. Like, everybody was involved. Like, this was, again, a convincing win that really put me back on track. Because when it comes to confidence in this team, because even if they won this game, but it was close, and they had the turnovers still, and it was based on the run game, I still wasn't going to be fully sold. Like, this was the kind of win. Like, context matters in wins and losses. Like, not always a win is a win for me, at least personally. This was the exact kind of win that sold me, and it wasn't just because of the
good
offense.
Teams, Lou. They beat Green Bay now. They beat a team in Cincinnati.
And 2 good quarterbacks.
Contextualize what Cincinnati had to do today. I mean, they were almost not a must win, but in the context of the AFC North, they really needed that game today. And for the Eagles to not win it close, not get it by the skin of their teeth, but do it in a dominating fashion.
Yes.
As good of a day as Joe Burrow and that offense played today, the defense stepped up 2 times in the end zone over the last 3 weeks. Boom. You look at Jalen Hurts and what he needed to do. He did everything that he needed to do in context of the offense today. Looked explosive, looked sharp. It's just a matter of time. They just needed to get back there.
37-17, the final score. The Eagles have won 3 straight. They are red hot at 5-2, a big win over the Bengals. The defense, as Gino said, they also stepped up in a big spot. We'll talk about the defense coming up next right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast. This episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. They have the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire, so they've got your back. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. It's the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. If you don't know what Prize Picks is, by now, all you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players with a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So today, if you were watching that Eagles game and you went all in on the Eagles passing game and said, I want A.J. Brown more receiving yards, Devontae Smith more receiving yards, Jalen Hurts more passing yards, you probably won big on Prize Picks today. But if you want to get in on the action for next week, or heck, any of these afternoon games or Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. And you don't even need to win to receive the bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions such as Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday Prize Picks discounts select player projections with up to 25% with even more value for your lineup. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 off instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On NFL, and you don't even need to win to get that $5 bonus when you play $50 instantly. Prize Picks, run your game.
37-17, the final score. The Eagles win it in Cincinnati for the first time in franchise history over the Bengals to get to 5-2.
What a crazy thing to say out loud, man.
Right? Finally, not a tie for this team against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's finally not a game where it ends an era. It feels like of Eagles football like it did in 2020.
No kidding, right?
This was the opposite. It reinstilled my belief that this era of Eagles football, this team, this core, still has it in them to win a championship. And, of course, it was because of Jalen Hurts' first real dominant performance since last year against Buffalo, and Saquon Barkley's 108 yards on the ground. Devontae Smith, 6 for 85 today and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 for 84. The offense was dominant on the ground and through the air. And for coaching, like, this was the first time all year I'm like, oh, this passing game, the coaches are cooking right now in that area. But, you know, the defense, like, yeah, Joe Burrow was destroying this team on third down, but they kind of kept them in the football game early on. Like, they were letting the Bengals drive down, but they forced a field goal because of a great pass deflection in the end zone from Darius Slay. They forced another punt after Burrow had converted 2 third downs on that drive. They did keep them in the football game early, and the biggest part, the takeaways. This team was dead last in takeaways heading into this football game. They had 3 turnovers in the second half in a close matchup. That made all of the difference. They were knocking on the door with big plays, but they weren't quite getting there. It'd be a drop pick from Cooper DeJean or, of course, Quinyon Mitchell, or they were just right there trying to get a sack, and they just didn't get it. The big plays opened up in the second half, and I got to say hats off to Vic Fangio and this defense who, yet again, like 4 of the last 5 of the last 6 games, I'm confident in what they're doing on that side of the ball.
And you talk about the talent that they went up against today. It looked rough at first, right? That first drive, you're saying, man, is Vic just doing these
like
things
Tampa
again? That, I mean, at one point we're looking at Jamar Chase in man coverage on Nolan Smith.
Or Avonte Maddox on Mike Gesicki.
There's just the things that we were saying, Vic Fangio, you got to get away from that. They did respond, Lou. And I think the biggest testament to this defense outside of the turnovers, because if you look at the third down conversion numbers, it's not going to look great. But on that first drive, Cincinnati possessed that ball for over 10 minutes. The rest of the game, they held it for 18 minutes. The Eagles dominated time of possession, and a lot of it came down to the Eagles getting in a position to create multiple turnovers. Not just one, but multiple turnovers, and set your offense up in a really good position where they scored points on their first drive all season. Hats off to them.
First time. It wasn't in the first quarter, but it was the first drive.
They finally did that. And I think one of the things that really could have let this game go downhill is after that first drive where they possessed it for 10 minutes. Let's say you do a Chip Kelly 30-second drive where you go 3 and out and the defense is right back on the field. Even though you only got 3 points on that first drive, to possess it for over 4 minutes in that first quarter, to get it to go to the second quarter and give your defense a break, who's to say how badly this thing could have spiraled if the defense started to get gassed after, let's say they were playing 25 plus plays in the first quarter. They played 17 on that first drive. For them to settle in, going hand in hand with the offense, it's exactly how a team needs to win. You have to have cohesion between the offense, between the defense. The pass rush today, you might not see crazy sack numbers, but they were making Burrow make some quick decisions. They definitely were. The thing that killed them was not containing the edge. They were having some big plays where Burrow, who he's got his legs underneath him, he was getting after them. But to take away the run, dude, they're really good at defending the run this season. They looked exceptional defending the run, filling gaps. Everybody was where they needed to be. Early on, Jordan Davis was making impact plays in the run. Everybody's shoulders are square to the line of scrimmage. Jalen Carter is a freaking menace with that arm over move. He looked phenomenal. But the young secondary, Lou,
that was the name of the game. Isaiah Rodgers. Let's talk about Isaiah Rodgers. Comes in when Darius Slay goes out. big play. Burrow's going to test him one-on-one with Jamar Chase, and for him to be in Chase's breadbasket, have the speed downfield to stay with the league's leading receiver right now with 620 yards heading into this game, to perfectly like torque his body back. Like that's an awkward angle and punch it right into the chest of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I mean, I've kind of been anti-Isaiah Rodgers in the offseason and kind of didn't know why everybody wanted to like force him onto the field, but he stepped up in a big spot today. So like you said with Cooper DeJean, Isaiah Rodgers, Nakobe Dean as well with the turnover, the forced fumble, there was a lot of young guys in that secondary and at linebacker that stepped up.
And I think Cincinnati did a really good job going at the Eagles defense where they knew the pass rush was going to get upfield, and you saw early on they were getting the ball out quick and Burrow was getting to his spots. But what Fangio did to change things up, to go from 7 points in that long drive to only allow them to a field goal on the next drive, and then the drive after that was a missed field goal, because even though Cooper DeJean missed that interception, you were able to put them in a tough, long spot. Yeah. Those missed interceptions might come back to bite them, but when you do capitalize on a crazy play where Isaiah Rodgers, he ran that route for Jamar Chase.
Oh, he did.
That's
and
perfect defense today.
He was in his
We got to give one guy praise today, Lou. Defensive backs coach Christian Parker, the way he has coached these guys up, even Slay early on in that game where
Slay had a good game.
The back corner of the end zone, he punches through the hands. Was that Jermaine Burton at the time that was one-on-one with him?
Yep.
All of those guys made really good plays. Outside of that first drive, it has been bend, don't break for this defense. 3 games after the bye, 2 touchdowns allowed. That is a winning formula, Vic Fangio.
Like, Gino, if you would have said heading into this game that Jamar Chase would have 9 catches for only 54 yards, and sure, he had a touchdown, but 9 for 54, only averaging 6 yards a catch, I would definitely sign up for that. He was the one guy you just couldn't let beat you. And sure, Mike Gesicki had a good game, 6 for 70. That's fine. If Mike Gesicki's going to beat me, I'll live and die with that as long as Avonte Maddox isn't on him. Jamar Chase, that's the guy that you can't let beat you. Yep. And I don't really think, again, he had 9 catches and a touchdown. Sounds like a good day, but I don't think Jamar Chase really hurt you that bad.
The touchdown came when Nolan Smith was in man coverage.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it was a play where, and it's a great play call, pre-snap motion. He ends up in the backfield and he gets that mass.
We got to have a check out of that though, right?
Yeah. You have to. I mean, I would have had Quignon or Slay shadowing him all game, but 9 for 54 and a touchdown, I'll take it. And Cooper DeJean, so good. I'm not going to hate on him for the drop pick because his tackling has changed this defense over the last 3 games. Not only the turnover on 4th down, hitting Chase to flip the field, but even like it eventually ended up being a touchdown for Chase Brown. But on 1st and goal, like Coop, it's one of those plays where a receiver goes underneath your arms and breaks the tackle and scores. And DeJean, just such a strong arm tackler, he still brought him down. Like I really, you said it last week and it stuck with me. DeJean has been the difference for this defense.
Yeah, he is. When you're cooking, and I love to make pizza from scratch, and there's times when you're tasting your recipe, you're like, what is this missing? And then you find it. Boom. That was Cooper DeJean when they put him into this rotation. It was like, oh, this is what they were missing. And it was clear again today when Avonte Maddox, the shortest player on the defense, is defending Mike Gesicki for God
Isn't
knows
it funny
what
when you
reason.
see pre-snap like a mismatch? You're like, oh no, I hope like they're gonna find a way out of
and Joe
this.
Burrow is gonna find him every time.
Yeah,
and
you're like, if I
always
saw
do.
this, he's seeing this
Without a doubt. But all in all, Lou, I thought they were around the football. They did a really good job of getting multiple hats to the ball. It wasn't just one guy making those tackles. They looked a lot better outside of one Zach Bond missed tackle, but how rare is that on the season?
Exactly.
They look really good. The linebackers, Nakobe Dean has been unlocked being a blitzing downhill backer, and Cooper DeJean to finish the discussion on these young defensive backs. It wasn't the play he made in the air. It was the play where it's 4th down. Cincinnati is going for it in their own territory. They get Jamar Chase into open space where it's one guy to beat. And Cooper DeJean, big boy play. DeJean stepped up when it mattered. Howie Roseman, he's got to feel so good about what he did in the draft. You know, he was grinning ear to ear after that play.
And the 2023 draft, Jordan Davis, as you mentioned, had a great game on the ground. Chase Brown only had 9 carries today for 22 yards and the 1 touchdown, average just 2.4 yards.
9 for 22. So between that and what they did with Singletary and Tracy last week, they've not allowed a guy to go over 30 yards in the last couple weeks.
Exactly. And Nolan Smith, part of that 2023 class.
That little
3 sacks in 3 games. It was a half a sack with Milton Williams, but it's Nolan Smith's sack in my opinion. Like, he destroyed the right tackle. And that's the great part of Nolan Smith heating up, Gino. These sacks aren't coming off free rushes against a backup tight end. They're against offensive linemen. And I know that sounds like whatever. It's a first-round pick.
Like, that's the
that's a first-round pick that he beat. And yeah, I think the last 2 draft classes, those young guys have all, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, the young corners from this year's class. It feels really good to finally have like young long-term pieces on that side of the ball, because the Eagles normally their approach is they've got that on the offensive side, and the defense is very veteran-filled, short-term contracts. This defense, like, it's exciting because they're growing, and none of them are really going anywhere anytime soon, unlike in past years.
And even when it's the next man up mentality, like, Slay has gone out multiple times throughout the season. And whether it's Keely Ringo coming in, whether it's Isaiah Rodgers today coming in, Isaiah Rodgers he's a starter in this league. Keely Ringo is a starter in this league. They have the young pieces, and you're seeing the examples week by week of these young players making NFL caliber plays. And Quinyon Mitchell, there was a time in that game where it was like they were going at number 2 more than they were going at 27.
I didn't hear from Quinyon at all today, and that's what you want from a corner. If you don't hear about him at all in a game, that's a good thing. I don't remember seeing 20. The only thing is the drop picks. Like, Quinyon Mitchell might set a record for
who's got the voodoo doll on these guys, man.
I don't know, but we got to track this person down because Quinyon should now have 7 picks.
7.
You could make the argument he could have a pick in every single game.
Yeah, he could be on that Xavier McKinney, but he's not even close right now.
Nuts.
But that one at the end of the half, like a really good play to read that ball in the air.
Yeah.
Christian Parker, I gave you your praise for getting these young DBs ready to go. Let's on
Get
Tuesday,
on the jugs machine, please.
Just hit the jugs machine. Everybody there
dude.
for an hour.
First thing you do when you come in.
Without a doubt.
Quinyon and Coop, get on the jugs machine. Yeah. Eagles win it 37-17, excuse me, the final score. The Eagles are now 5-2. We'll wrap up the postgame show coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. Locked On Eagles is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time got me my seats for Eagles-Browns a couple weeks ago. It was a great experience. Girlfriend's first Eagles game. Game Time takes the fluff, removes it for you, just gets you the best price and the best view as well. You get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. They also have their lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a lower ticket price with another platform. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, we're wrapping up the Locked On Eagles postgame show, 37-17, the final score. The Eagles have won 3 straight now, and this one, again, like, Gino, I don't want to undersell what a statement win this is for the Birds. I mean, again, they were winning football games. They were 4-2, but it felt a lot like last year where you're like, when's the dam going to break? Like, this doesn't feel sustainable. This win, yeah, you're not going to do this every single game, but that kind of game plan, that felt sustainable. That's what I want the identity of this football team to be. Not even last week where it's, Saquon Barkley carries you and you have some explosive plays through the air to A.J. Brown. Like, no, this where you spread the ball around, you lean on the passing game to get the lead, you run to keep it. And you get takeaways on defense. Like, that is what you can live with. Sure, you're going to give up yards, right? In the modern day NFL, like when you're playing a Joe Burrow, you're going to give up yards. But this is the right kind of blueprint to be a legit contender in the NFL. Not just a good team, but a great team.
I think one of the points I said in that discussion we had on Jalen Hurts was that the running game is really important in today's National Football League, because if you look at what the Bengals did in the pass game, was that enough to go and beat the Eagles today when they couldn't pop these big runs to, they were really good on third down, but how many times did the Eagles set themselves up with a big Saquon run on first down that put their offense in a position to where they could go under center, Lou, keep the defense guessing, hit them with some play action, hit that downfield look to Devontae Smith. That's only there when everything is working in unison. And I thought the coaches, we've been hard on them throughout the season. I thought they did a really good job. That Nick Sirianni sequence where he throws the challenge flag, Lou, on that Andre Yoshivas drop, whoever got in his ear, that's a good challenge for Nick Sirianni, man. Like, that wasn't an
gotta give him his flowers,
situation.
man.
You have to.
I mean, we can critique him when the games are bad, but I mean, early on, there were some things that were frustrating. The penalties in Bengals territory, a couple swing screens, like on third down, you're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, or on second down. I don't love that, but I kind of think they got rid of what they kind of normally do early on, and then they just settled in and made the adjustments that we've been just begging for. I even love just having Jalen. They weren't rolling him out completely where he's sprinting to the right, but just kind of getting him on the move, like a moving pocket. Like, that's how that touchdown to Devontae Smith formed. I think he just looked a lot more comfortable just moving around a little bit, but still being inside the pocket instead of just standing there like a statue.
When he had to run out of necessity early on, where that pocket breaks down, I think it's the very first drive on second play. He picks up that very first down that you needed to just stay in this game, because like you said, if it goes 14-0 in 2 drives, you're in a tough position. They ate clock. They picked up big third downs, the one to A.J. Brown, finding him in that spot on 3rd and 16, the Devontae Smith over the middle third down. All of them were just pinpoint accurate, outside of maybe one throw, I think, onto the Kenny Gainwell
he was
side
late.
Screen. He was late on that throw, a little late on the one out to Devontae Smith. But besides that, Lou, listen to these numbers according to Next Gen Stats. He had an 80% completion percentage. You want to know what his expected completion percentage was? 59.8. He had a plus 20.2 expected completion.
Talk about a quarterback elevated.
Over average. He had 59.3 longest completed air distance, the longest of this week by a long shot. He had 236 yards in the air, that one long touchdown with a rate of 132.5. When that is the quarterback play that you get, and he was unbelievable using his legs today, Lou. I mean, you saw 2022 Jalen Hurts in moments, and we've said throughout the season, like, has he lost a step? Today, it's like, if he plays like that, man, he's cooking guys with the juke.
Is he holding back maybe at times? Like, he's just not. It's kind of like in like NFL Street, where you could like put R2, you could like hold it down and it's max speed, but you could hold up a little bit.
Yeah, where
maybe he's just being more careful. I
don't
know.
Really know, but today,
because he has it in him. He does. Like, I mean, today, like you said, that juke. That's like 2021 against the Saints, Jalen Hurts, where he's just making guys miss the open field.
The touchdown where Grant Calcaterra, a beautiful block on the goal line. I mean, earlier in the season,
he beats him to the edge.
I don't know if he gets to the edge.
I was going to say, normally this year, he hasn't been beating even defensive tackles to the edge. So I don't know if it's maybe just calculated, but we know now that he has that still in him. So we know it's not gone.
He looks so good, efficient. The wide receivers, that's what you need. The balance between those two guys, that's perfect how you drew it up. You saw Grant Calcaterra elevate when he needed to. I mean, even Jack Stoll made some good plays for them. The run game looked so efficient at the end there when Ben Van Sumeren comes in as a fullback and Saquon Barkley gets that long first down run, and then he pops that long run the drive before that. They were doing everything in the wins that they have done well, but also finding more success when it came to the passing game, which we all knew that if they gave Jalen Hurts time and gave these guys on the outside time to win their routes downfield, because we know they have no intermediate passing game at this point, when they hit those big shots, they're a team that they can win it in multiple different ways now. And the best part about them was their defense has been we are still just underselling how good this defense has been.
Yeah, and we're just scratching the surface with these. I mean, Gino, like, we have to remember how young this defense is. And
they're just getting started. And Vic Fangio's done a great job putting them in a position to succeed.
What a win. 37-17, the final score. The Eagles have won 3 straight now to get to 5-2. Up next, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're rocking Kelly Green. It's crazy, man, how quick the vibes can change, but this win really did change the vibe.
They've rattled off 3 straight. You have an opportunity, and I wouldn't call it a revenge game, but a game that's going to have some very emotional moments in it going against Doug Peterson, which could possibly end Doug Peterson's career in Jacksonville. But after that, Lou,
I don't want to kill Doug. I don't want to be the reason Doug's done.
I don't either. But I'll tell you one thing. If Washington loses to the Bears currently, the Eagles would be in first place. You then play Dallas and Washington to complete that first cycle of the divisional games. Continue to rattle off wins in this stretch. Getting these wins currently, Lou, that's exactly what you needed. So if you do slip up down the stretch, you have a little bit more room to change things up. But man, if you keep your foot on the pedal like this team did today and play 60 minutes, Lou, whoo, that felt good, man. Go relax after this, Eagles fans. I think we deserve this type of win the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for the Locked On Eagles post-game show. Again, 37-17, the final score. The Eagles are now 5-2. Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day, and watch each and every day. For Gino Camilleri, I'm Lou DiBiase signing off. As always, thanks so much for downloading, watching, and listening, and let's go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.